Well, good evening, everybody. Welcome to Late Night with Kettle Kitchen. How are you guys doing tonight? Just want to say hi to my two in-house chat room live-ins, I guess is what I'm going to call them. It looks like Dark Lord Minute and Prepping for Heaven have been in here for a while. So welcome to both of you. Thank you for coming. We appreciate that. Tonight we're going to do something a little different. We're going to have a conversation about what's going on with inflation, and how do we deal with those things. And I brought some friends along. Oh, it looks like KrisandLarry's here in the chat. Thank you for coming. Okay, you can't sit in the chat anymore. Right. You gotta come up.
I'll be in the chat. I'll be up top here. How
and
look,
everyone? Mudd Mascara too. They're here as well. Well, you need to come up as well. So. And then we have somebody downstairs eating all the green. Hold on a second. My fire alarm is going off. Oh. I'm here to tell anybody that's not done lives, it all happens. Okay.
It all does. Everything.
Anyways, the person down in the below room eating green M&Ms, I'm going to pull her up too.
You know, Rowan won't eat green M&Ms because as a little itty bitty child, my dad told her they weren't ripe. So he had to dispose of them. And now she's turning 15 on Monday and she still will not eat green M&Ms.
Oh, geez.
Wow.
Because they're not ripe. They're not ready to eat yet.
Look at that.
I just thought it was the bread you had in the oven.
Yeah. No, that's out. The bread's out. Lows in 48 hours, lows 7 and 8 just came out of the oven. So
nice.
I was just thinking, you know, you toast it after you've baked it.
Okay,
not at the same time.
Oh, we have Michelle Carlson. Thank you for coming in.
Welcome.
Hey.
I won't eat blue M&Ms. You know, I wouldn't. Not
I
me
will. I'll have them. Pass them here.
Yeah, I'll eat M&Ms. I don't even care anymore. But I remember when they brought the red M&Ms back, and people wouldn't touch them because they still thought they caused cancer.
What?
I'm here to tell you, I know for fact I have eaten, if not smoked, things that are worse on cancer than red M&Ms. I am being honest, okay?
Yeah.
And I'm talking tobacco, not to freak anybody out.
Right.
But, anyways, so tonight we're going to do this a little different. And these three fine ladies agreed to join us for this conversation. I will tell you, this will be a little stem off. I'm not piggybacking intentionally, but it was a request that I thought was a very valid thing to do. Thank you, Tiffany. To piggyback off of Bloo's live she had this morning. And what was the title of your live this morning, Bloo?
I don't know. I've slept since then. Good God. Hang on. Let me look it up.
I love it.
What on earth is going on and just what does it mean for us?
Okay. So taking that in mind, I know that specifically... Hi, Radio Jonesy. Thank you for coming in. I know that you and I talked, and what I did find humorous was the title and the thumbnail were made prior to any UK governmental political movements that have happened. Okay?
Oh, you mean more of what had happened?
Yes. Yeah. So before we go any further, I just want to put this statement out. This conversation will not be about politics or political kinds of things other than how the government's perceiving things or putting things out to us. Okay. But I think it's important, and based on a conversation I had with Tiffany, I think it's very valid for us to give people ideas, options, and let's brainstorm on how do we get through the inflation rise, the cost rise, your bills are going to be outrageous here in a couple months if they're not already rise. And how do we navigate around that so that we're helping each other as best we can with ideas and the brainstorming that's associated with that?
Yeah.
I would like to go to Tiffany first, and I want to make sure we're hitting what your thought process was on the conversation we had regarding this.
I think a lot of us don't really realize, like, I've been keeping up with everything going on in the UK, and I think that a lot of us over here have been so conditioned that we don't believe that anything like what's going over there is going to happen here. Um, and I don't believe it. Everybody thought that after the big C, we were all going to go back to normal, and things have gotten worse. The
Yeah.
food prices are unreal. I mean, I
Can,
don't
can I
shop
can I
every week.
sorry,
Mhm,
can I address something right in there?
mhm,
If you look at, and this, I pulled some information just so I wasn't talking out my arse end tonight. Okay.
mhm,
I really wanted to try to make sure that we were hitting the right points and the right information. So I went and looked, and again, government agency spelling this out, but let's look at it anyways. If you consider inflation is roughly 10 to 12% higher than it was this time a year ago, roughly. Others will argue with that, and I know, but I'm not here to argue that point.
mhm,
A lot of people are associating it with the big C. That's the
Mm.
reason this is where we're at. The problem with that is that financial experts are saying the big C is only 3.5 to 4% of that rise.
Mhm.
mhm,
It is
Yeah.
not all to blame on that. And I
mhm,
No, and there's
need,
a lot of things going on,
right.
Mm.
and I'm not, not doing the politics thing,
No, you're
but
fine.
that is one of the issues. From one direction, there's a war going on in another
Right.
direction. There's
Right.
the big C going on from another direction. There's a lot of factors that
right,
go into
Right.
this.
Right.
And I think, what, I look at it from a totally different perspective, because it's not about what I'm going to feed my family. It's about how I'm going to sustain my farm.
Yes.
right,
That's the difference in my household. My family's covered.
Right.
mhm,
It's
Right.
how am I going to sustain those animals that I have?
mhm.
So I look at it from a different perspective. So,
Right.
Yeah, because the prices of, because we have probably about 40 chickens and our rabbits. I don't have the land to have the cows and the pigs and stuff. If I did, I would. But I mean, the price of some of the feed has went from, $12
Right.
up to 18 now.
Right.
And it's
oh,
just a
and I
lot.
can even top that. Our alfalfa bill has over doubled.
Yeah.
Wow.
And I sustain we've got dairy goats and we've got cooney pigs and they're pasture pigs. So we go through a bale of alfalfa a day. That was
Mhm.
$12.50 to $13 3 years ago.
Right.
Right.
Today I'm paying $28.95 a bale.
I
Wow.
I want to say hi to Teresa.
Yeah.
She just showed up, so hi. Um,
Hello.
I think what's
It's been a
important, just real quick, I think what's important is when we're going through this conversation, and
Mhm,
really a lot of it is going to be more about families, but there
Mhm.
is a concern of, like Kris said, keeping the farm going.
mhm,
When we're talking about inflation, it's not just about human consumption, it's
no.
about animal
mhm,
consumption, it's
It's
about animal sustainability, it's about your house sustainability, it's about
mhm.
everything inclusive, because if you haven't been hit by it, you will be. That's what you
Right.
need to realize. And so
Mhm.
I'm thinking the moving forward part of this, and I know I cut you off, Tiffany, but I just want to make sure that we're staying on for this conversation right now. We'll stay on the human part of it, the consumption and food like that. I do, if we don't get to it tonight, I do want to have this conversation about the animals and the farms, because that's an important part as it is, of it as well. I just don't want to lose time on the food part for human consumption right now.
Mhm.
Um,
Absolutely.
hi Renee, thanks for coming in. Um, okay, in that I'm gonna let's go to Blue. Blue, do you have anything that you can think of, especially off of your research in your live this morning and comments that were made, Is there anything you can think of that needs to be discussed before we dive into the brainstorming of maybe some solutions?
Oh, we're drowning over here right now.
I know that. Yeah.
Wait, I'm not kidding. There's families in situations that are untenable. And they were in that before the whole pandemic thing. They were in that before the whole Brexit thing. And now, because prices have literally tripled and energy prices have skyrocketed to a point where people there's candle shortages, there's all kinds of stuff going on that people don't even think about. And they're just like all of a sudden going, oh no. It's like one of the things that I had to make really clear, one of the things that they've been trying to tout in Parliament was the fact that they'd put this energy price cap on at $2,500 a year. Well, that's twice what people were paying last year. But people are thinking that's all they're going to be paying.
Right.
That they won't be paying any more than that. And what that is actually a price for a 3-bedroom home with mum, dad, and 2.4 kids on normal usage. So if you're on your own, you shouldn't be paying that. If you have more family and bigger house than that, and it's going to cost more to run it, then you'll be paying more than that. And people aren't realizing that. And that what they're doing is they're charging people, that's the cost of a direct debit over 12 months. So there's a big push over here to stop direct debits so that you're only paying what you're using.
Right.
Because the direct debits tend to cost more. They charge you more than you're going to be using, and you're being credit. But that money needs to feed the families.
Right.
You know, and it's also not including people who are disabled and have machines that have to be on 24/7, you know, or people who sleep with a bare minimum a CPAP machine. You know, it costs pennies to run it. It does. But if we don't have it, it can be a life or death situation for some people. But there are people out there that have bigger machines and other things that they have to keep running to keep, you know, their kids going or their family member going or whatever. It's a pretty harsh situation over here, which is why I'm pushing harder with my channel now to be, these are the things you can do with what you've got.
Right.
So if I'm doing a recipe video, I'm probably not going to follow the recipe. I'm going to use what I have.
Right.
And still make it as close as I can, near as damn it get it. I'll put the instructions, like the ingredients for the original recipe there, but I can show people that they can change things. It doesn't have to be exactly what it says on there.
Which a good thing for content. That's good, because that does introduce, here's a variation of how I do it, but you still have the original recipe if you want to use it.
Yeah. I mean, I'm quite happy to turn around and say I'm not paying 50 quid for 5 litres of olive oil. It's not going to happen.
No.
Right.
You know, it's not. I will go and buy the blended for 13.
Yeah.
Because damn, you know.
I wanna hop in and say hi to Texas Country Wife. Thank you for coming in. Appreciate it. And Teresa, she's put up here. I'll put it up real quick. She said that it is human consumption. I'm assuming she was talking about when I was talking about animals and farms.
Yeah.
I'm not talking about them as consumption for humans. I'm talking about sustaining them for that. We'll have that conversation at some point. So
Yeah.
I'm not trying to blow it off. I'm just saying that that's not the direction for the time being we're at right now. So, here I'll give you an example of something. And I won't tell you what I told somebody else, one of these 3 ladies earlier. But I walked into the grocery store yesterday, and we usually buy 5 dozen eggs at a time. We go through them. That's the way it is. Normally, I don't even remember when it was, but I know it had to have been roughly 3 to 4 weeks ago. We got 5 dozen eggs for $9. It was 8 something. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I walked in there yesterday and bought 5 dozen eggs, and it was $19.95.
Yep.
Wow.
Yeah, it was
Eggs.
$22.50 at our Walmart this week for 5 dozen.
We're talking about eggs.
Yes.
Really?
What's sad is, oh, I was going to say what's sad is, like for me, when I do my grocery shopping, which is like once every 2 months, it is a major sticker shock for me to walk in there. But average people go to the store every week, and I used to manage a Dollar General a while back, and we would literally have to go in right before the sale dates, which were on Saturdays, and I would have to raise the prices. It might have been 25 cents. Now, this was several years ago. But see, now what's happened is we those of us who go in the store weekly, we're not seeing that little 20 cents here or there
Right.
as much as not yesterday, but the day before I had to do a my pantry haul.
Mhm.
And I was, I
Yep.
was, it had been
Yeah.
2 months and I was just in shock at, the prices of different things. And, I was going to the sale bin to get meat. So my meat that was still in date, but they had marked it down, at Sam's. You know how they do that. They got
Mhm.
the prices up so high, they have to put it on sale to sell it because they can't get rid of it because it's so
Right.
high.
Yeah.
Right.
And their
So
sale prices are still higher than what they were before
Right.
this all started.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So
I mean, this time last year, I bought, because each year I'll go in each month I go in the supermarket and I buy a year's supply for us of a certain dry store item. Last year it was 19p for a kilo bag of basic white long grain rice. Okay. Supermarket own brand, nothing fancy, not half steamed, whatever, no boil in the bag rubbish stuff. It was just basic white rice, 19p a packet. It's gone up to 44 pence a packet.
Yeah.
Which, just for those that don't understand, that'd be roughly our cents, correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
So for people over here, because there are people that live in this country that are living on £70 a week, and that's all they have to pay all their bills and feed themselves and clothe themselves and do all of that kind of stuff as well.
Mhm.
So that's not the 11% inflation rate that we were told it was going to be.
Right.
That is more than 100% uprising in pricing. You can't say that that's just inflation. There is more to it than that,
Right.
But
and
that's
what
also the difference between a family being able to feed themselves for a week and being able to feed themselves for a couple of days, because now they can only buy one packet, not two.
and I think that's part of what we need to just quickly touch on is I want people to understand, and again, I'm not insulting anybody by intelligence or anything. I'm just trying to make sure the information's out there. So if you know this, and that's great. Okay. But I do want people to understand exactly what Bloo just said. The economists are saying we have a 10, 11, 12% increase in inflation. What they're not telling you, because they're not looking at what she just said, items are jumping 100%, 200%, 300%. So to look at what most of us would take into consideration, if I pay $10 for an item and there's a 12% increase, I'm assuming I'm going to pay roughly $1 or $10 or maybe $11, something like that, not $22 and $30 and $40. That's the reality is that the trade-off to it to get to that number is an average of the prices increasing. It's not each individual item per se, and it's going to stay at that number. So you need to understand basically what I'm saying is prices are going to double if they haven't already. They're probably going to triple if they haven't already. And Is this going to end anytime soon? I can't tell you that. I don't predict that it will, but this is why we're having this conversation. What can we do? What can we do to help each other out to maybe minimize some of that impact, give you ideas of things that you can do? And I love this that was said right here. Learning how to make your meals versatile, your menus versatile, things that can be switched up, interchanged, and having those options there so that you and your family are benefiting as much as possible with what you have. Now, let's have a little check your grade moment, we'll say. A year ago, I wasn't on YouTube a year ago, but I'll go back to February, March of this year, okay? I was out there saying, go out and buy an extra bag of noodles, buy an extra bag of rice, go out and start canning, start doing this. I'm sure every one of you ladies have done the same thing in your videos as well. Here we are for the reason why. Right. Now you're sitting in a situation where you're going to have to start shopping off your shelves, out of your cupboards, out of your pantries to supplement what you're used to going to the store to get.
Yeah. Right. You know, and I've touched base on some of my lives before about, you know, living as if you were your grandmother during the Depression. Yeah. What were things that they did in order to make ends meet? And I mean, I've always, I came from a family of, my dad instilled prepperism, if you want to use that as a word, at a very young child, you know, as I was a very young child. So I've always been in that realm of buying an extra bag of this and putting it away.
Right.
I'm very thankful now because I look at what I've got. I'm able to provide not only for my household, but for my 2 adult daughters who live on their own, and able to help them go, hey, you know, I've got 25 bags of black beans. Do you want a couple of these bags? Now, the key to doing that, though, is to shop, number one, the outside of the grocery store, not shop through the inside aisles as much, because that is the stuff that they make that has the preservatives in it. That is the stuff that they make that has the poor content that doesn't keep you full. Okay, so you're going to be spending a whole lot more when you're buying rice-a-roni than if you're making it yourself from your pantry. Now, my pantry does not have any processed food like that in it. Now, I have pasta and things like that, but I'm talking those boxed meals. I don't have any of that. I will spend a little bit extra to fill my pantry with ingredients instead of food items.
Right.
And the reason that I do that is because I'll buy a 25-pound bag of flour or a 50-pound bag of flour, divide that up, and the price savings that I have for that skyrockets over me buying individual items.
Yes.
So I've always done that with my family. For those that don't know me, I raised 5 biological children. We adopted 3 more, and I have 3 daughter and son-in-laws as well. So we have a family. Sitting down at the table, it is, you know, I joke, it's half a pig when we sit down to eat when everybody's here. So we look at things like that, and I've instilled that in all of my children. If you can buy it in bulk and preserve it, do that instead of buying all the individuals. We even have, you know, recyclable little bags that will divide fruit roll-ups. You know what I mean? If you buy them, when you buy 100 of them, instead of buying a box of 10, you're going to save a ton of money. And then you spread that out.
So I want to hit on that just real quick. I know that, okay. So there's going to be 2 different conversations that happen throughout this. First and foremost, hello, Nina.
Said, Tony.
Hello, Nina. Thank you for coming in. Runneth over Garden and Life. Buying in bulk is your best way to do it. That's the end result, end story, when you can do it. Because I know Bloo's going to be my biggest competitor in this conversation. Some people can't do that, and I get that, okay? But when you can, do it. If you can't do it, Go find the cheapest place to get it from. Go shop around in your stores. If you can. I know that not everybody can do that. I'm not here to profess this is a miracle way to do it and everybody's going to fit the situation. But I know for us here, Walmart's the big store, but there are little stores or little chains. And it really is going to come back down to couponing again. Even though you don't clip them, you still need to go through the paper and see what's the best deal. What is in season, what is on sale. How do I approach that? Now, somebody else had, I think it was Dark Lord Minute, but I'm not positive, had mentioned savings cards or something of the like. Yes. None of our stores here have that. So we don't have that option. They've all gone digital, and that's the way you get it. Either you're a member or you're not. That's the way it is. But they do make a valid point. If you have that option out there, by all means, sign up for them. Try to get double points if they're going to offer any point system. Try to get up on like Safeway, which is Safeway, Albertsons, Kroger. Now it's all together. Yeah, all one. But yeah, it's one big thing now. But they have a savings thing. So a lot of times they run a 5 for $5 sale or a 5 for $10 sale where you can get 5 boxes of macaroni and cheese for $5, or you can get 10 ramens for $5 or something like that. You're just going to have to be strategic about it. That is the best advice I can give anybody first. Okay. Before we go into anything else, does anybody else want to hit on that? Because I don't want to move away if you got something to interject.
I do have one thing to comment on the coupon shopping. Do not buy things you're not going to eat.
No.
Right.
Do not buy something just because it's on sale. If your family's not going to touch it, you've just wasted that much more money. Yep. Make sure that you're doing the specific.
It's not just that, but you're taking away from someone who might be able to have it.
Right.
You know, just to have it in your cupboard taking up space, you know, that they would actually use it and you're not going to. So
the only exception, the only exception I would give to that is that if you're buying with the intention to donate to your food bank, that's a different conversation.
Yeah. Well, and I will tell you, we have a family set budget of $600 a month.
That's the way we do.
And that is all I buy.
That's it.
I'm out of money.
That's it. It's over.
So I know that I'm going to buy what's in, for my pantry. Like I said, I will buy the essentials of things, whether it's, oil, flour, butter, whatever. Right. But I go into the grocery store with a list every single time. Learned how to make my own bread. That saves so much money with my crew. And they know that on bread making day, which is once a week at my house, my adult kids come by and get loaves of bread as well.
Hi, Ashley. Thanks for coming in.
I a couple books too that I wanted to share with everyone.
And we'll get to that in a second. Okay. Let me, because we've hit on a couple things that I did want to bring up. So I want to run through my list, get it done and out of the way. We'll go around to each person on their list, and then we can come back and have those conversations. So mine is very first. If you haven't made a budget, make a budget. Know where your money's going, know where it's not, know where you. The other big thing is discretionary spending is going to have to minimize, because you're going to need that at some point. So, and I'm preaching to a choir that's not listening, if that makes any sense, on myself.
I will add one little thing to that though, with the discretionary spending.
Okay.
Leave yourself enough money to have one treat.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Because if you don't, you will regret what you're doing. You will resent what you're doing, and then all of a sudden you'll just blow it.
And I think what I would love to add on to that, when I say minimize discretionary spending, I'm just saying don't go. My kids and I are going to fight about this at some point in time, but going out to eat now can't be an option like it was before. Not saying we can't, but not as much as we were. It's the not as much as. That will help you in your budget and help you with additional money. The other thing is whatever that budget is, stick to it unless you have to change it. If there's something that comes up, you may have to change it, but try to stick to it as much as you can. Put money away when you can, buy extras where you can, but don't kill yourself so you have $0. Living paycheck to paycheck is the American thing, whether we like it or not. It's what we all do. Okay.
Yes.
Very few of us don't live that way. There are some that do. I'm not saying nobody does.
Well, and the biggest suggestion, if you're going to be doing the budgeting, is you take that money out of your account and put it in an envelope.
Yes. Yeah.
That way you're not spending on a credit card. You're not spending on a debit card. You're watching everything. We did this. Larry and I did this when we first got married, when we first started having children. You know, now all my children are big kids, but when they were all really little, I set a budget of, like I said, $600. My same budget from 20 years ago is the same budget I use today for our food.
But the beauty of that is that you've made that work. You have figured out how to get around, or if I'm not saying you do, but some people do it. If you have to shuffle, then you know what the sacrifice for that shuffle is.
Exactly. And so what I do is I put that money in an envelope. That's what I have to spend, whether it's to Costco, whether it's to Walmart, whether it's to Safeway grocery store. Mm-hmm. Now, we do raise our own vegetables. We do raise a lot of our own meat, but not all of it. Okay. Mm-hmm. I have not quite mastered that much yet, but we do raise, like, we've got 2 meat pigs right now, and we've got a steer that just came back. So we're not buying a lot of meat, but if chicken's on sale and I know my freezers are low on chicken, I will purchase chicken breasts or thighs or even whole chickens and cut it up and divide it. Right. Now, with that $600, let's say this month I spend $450 of it, and I've got $150 in that envelope. That carries over. So that means the next month I have that $150 plus another $600 as I'm going through. And I actually do it every other week. I put $300 and $300 is what I do. And that money comes out while I'm, when I'm going shopping. So I know exactly how much I'm spending. And I think that has helped me in the long run, because there are months that I look and I don't go to the grocery store because we have, milk coming off at certain times of the year of our farm. We have eggs right now. I have a lot of freeloading chickens, but we do have eggs coming off.
Me too.
At times, my incubator is full of chicken eggs right now because I've been pulling my own. I actually went and bought chicken eggs to eat and pulling my fertile eggs off so that I can raise more. This is the time of year. Grayson just came in with a big sign that says, "I'm showering." I'm sorry, I just had to share that. It's
okay.
Really whatever. But we look at things like that and we try and figure out what's going to work for us. So, like I said, I'm incubating chickens because I know if I do it right now, they'll be laying in the spring. Right.
Okay.
So
back onto that also, and actually I want to hit that before I move on. Plan ahead. Okay, I am going to put this up here just because it's part of what I throw out there. Be smart, think ahead, meal prep with ease, and preserve. Those things by themselves will help you get through this to a point. It's not going to solve your problem. It's not going to create a windfall of anything. But if you can follow those basic guidelines, it'll help. Okay. So back on my list is lessen the meals out, which we already talked about. Make a meal plan. Plan your meals out so you're not randomly digging or shopping through your cupboards in your pantry. Again, I'm preaching to the choir here that's not listening, because
a lot of times when you don't plan out like that, Tony, people wind up going and grabbing something fast to eat out.
Yeah.
Because it's so simple.
So, and it is, and the flip side to that though is, I'll back off of that. I agree with you. We'll just leave it at that, because you are correct.
It's so easy to do that.
It is.
It's so easy.
Hello, Tom Garvey. Thank you for coming in. Appreciate it. It is, but I think if you, so I think you're accomplishing multitasks when you follow at least the list I have, and I'm sure you guys will add to it. If you have a budget and you stick to it, if you lessen the meals out, if you make a meal plan that lessens the It helps with the lessening the meals going out. Stick to a shopping list. Don't deviate from that shopping list. Going then again to what Kris said, shop on the outside of the store, not down the main aisles. Try to find where you can those cheaper prices. When you can, make homemade sauces, homemade gravies, your spice mixes. Every one of us, almost every one of us, could make our own taco seasoning and Italian seasoning and things like that. Start making them at home if you can. If you can't, that's fine. I'm not saying everybody can do this, but I know the four of us sitting right here on this panel, all of us can make all of our own because we have the stuff for it.
If you
And
think
then,
I want to interject something in on that part.
yes,
Because if you think about it, if you go to the store now, it's so simple to make brown gravy, like the base, the powder. It is the easiest thing in the world. If you have flour, cornstarch, and beef bouillon, and whatever, if you want salt and pepper in there. So easy to make. And flour and the beef bouillon, if you really get down to the nitty gritty and break it down by a tablespoon or whatever, it is a pennies.
Yeah.
Yep.
Whereas if you go in the grocery store, it is almost $2 for a daggum packet of that crap now.
It is.
$2 when you can make it yourself for less than 5 cents. If you really break down the dial tone, you can make it for less than 5 cents. And it's just the same.
It is the same. And for me, when I very first made, I'll just use my example. When I very first made taco seasoning, it was the nastiest tasting thing in the world. I was like, that doesn't taste like anything I've ever tasted before. But then it was, then it was manipulated. And then I'd have my wife check it. And my son tasted it and he loves it because we zoned in on the flavors that we were looking for.
Right.
So you can manipulate that stuff, use a base. Anybody wants any of those things, ask me and I will find you a list if I don't have one myself. Okay.
Dark Lord just made a comment here. It says, don't always stick to the outside of the store, depending on your store, because I know mine has great deals in the middle where the cheese is. Most grocery stores are set up where it's got dairy on the outside. It's got the bakery on the outside. It's got produce on the outside. That's what I'm talking about is going to the ingredient aisles or the ingredient sections versus the processed sections. Only because, like I said, I feel your belly better when you're cooking with ingredients versus those processed gifts.
So two things. One, I want to throw in there, and I know we've all heard it. This is not news.
Hey, Dale.
Well, hello, farmer in the Dale. How are you guys doing? And this is going to be repetitive information, but eat before you go grocery shopping.
Yes.
That's a good one.
It will help you.
Unless you go to Costco.
Unless you go to Costco. Yes.
Yeah, on sample day.
But I wanted to pop
while you're there.
I wanted to pop this up because this was a good idea. Use your Google Calendar to make meal plans. It helps a lot, as you can switch days around with a couple of clicks. She's up to 2 months in meal plans for 3 months now and so forth. If you can get a base going, you can always move those things around to fit what you want. And I've seen some of them come out with Monday's no meat day, Tuesday, and I think Kris, actually, you guys are like that where you have no meat Mondays, right?
We do. Okay. Not necessarily Monday, but we do one meal a week where we do a spaghetti and tomato sauce, let's say, where there is no meat in there. And that's only because I have so many mouths to feed. I want to make sure. And, for those that have been following my channel for a while, know that I'm actually on a keto diet as well. So for me, I'm actually making 2 meals at times because it's really expensive to feed my whole crew keto noodles or whatever. So I actually make 2 separate meals, one for Larry and I and one for the kids for dinner. Utilize things like your crock pot and your Instapot, because those things you can put a roast in there and that'll last 2 or 3 or 4 or even more meals, depending on how many people are in your family.
So
I get after my kids for eating seconds and thirds because I'm like, that's lunch tomorrow, guys. You eat that, you're getting peanut butter.
Right, right.
know?
Here is another valid point. Salads and baked potatoes, they're filling items that don't cost as much, theoretically, don't cost as much. Potatoes, for the most part, you're okay. The salad part of it, if you got to go out and buy everything, it may not be cheaper. But if you're growing your own vegetables, even if you can replace a salad worth of stuff, you've cut that amount of money down. So the other thing is, and I'm going to hit Bloo next on this, the last thing on my list, and I'm going to hit Bloo with this. And then if you have anything to throw in list wise, go ahead and do it at this point. Make meals that will serve many times. Just what Kris said, you can do a crock pot meal and it could do 3, 4, 5, 6 meals. Bloo just went through a video process where she was able to make freezer meals for the whole year in that one process. Now, it cost her a little money to do it, but when you break it down, didn't you say it was less than $5 a meal?
Mm-hmm.
It's £1.50 a serve.
Yeah.
There you go.
It's £1.50 a serve. So, yeah.
I was gonna, and I'll jump in real quick, and then you can have the microphone for a little while. I was sitting here when somebody had said it's going to cost you less if you do it homemade. That bread I just made, when I was sitting here running it through my head, I don't think it probably cost me $10 for 8 loaves of bread. I mean, that's pushing the far. I can't remember the price.
And you're making stuff without those preservatives in it
that
are better for your body, your processing.
Yep. So, Bloo, would you like to go ahead and take over for a little while?
Yeah. Can we move to Tiff?
Okay, Tiffany.
My brain just went out my ears.
You what? Oh, your brain went out. Okay. Basically, what I'm talking about is like freezer meals, things like that. Okay.
The freezer meals save so much money. I mean, I just did a few freezer meals off of leftover chicken that I couldn't get into jars. There's also another book out there called A Year Without a Grocery Store. That is, it is not that big. It's paper thin, but it has a lot of information.
Can you put the titles of those in the private
I'll put the links in.
Or you can do the
link.
These are
called Don't Panic Dinners in the Freezer. And we have been using, as you can see, my book is very worn and very gross. I've had these books for years and years. I've actually replaced them because we used them so much they fell apart.
Yeah.
These books are awesome. And I'll put the Amazon link, you guys, in there, but I will show you this. So, like, for instance, here's orange teriyaki. It's an ingredient-based meal. So you create it that way. But what it does is it has the regular ingredients for one meal. And then it has ×2, ×4, and ×6.
That's awesome.
So you can make, and it shows you how many you need to create this. And then it tells you what you need to do to put it in the freezer, whether you're just making the chicken with the marinade or you're making a casserole. It tells you exactly what you need to do. So when the kids were little, this came in really handy for me because I would go through and I'm like, oh, look, lemon glazed chicken breasts. Let's make a 9-pack of that. And then you label it, put it in the freezer. And it was so convenient to take it out and throw it in the crock pot or throw it in the oven or whatever. So like I said, I'll put that in the list, but it's for everything. Like, here's a broccoli and cheese soup that's, more keto friendly. I don't know. It's actually got flour in it. So I would change my recipe up, obviously, for me, but it's got a ×9.
Right.
And it's for 4 to 6 servings each. So I can get up to 36 servings or so, depending on teenage boys eating, on this particular thing. So these are awesome books, but these are something, like I said, I've been using these for years and years and years. So let me grab those links because I have them opened on my computer.
And if you don't have the extra funds to purchase the book, another thing that you can do is when you're making your crock pot meal, have a gallon bag right there. Double it. or if you want 3 of them and lay them out flat, there's so many ways to double things, or if you're making a casserole, double that casserole, seal it up and put it in the freezer. Another thing, and I meant to bring this up earlier when we were talking about Sam's and Costco. We can our chicken here, but I do buy chicken breast that I do can. But the way to beat the system at Sam's that I know of personally, their chicken breast, I paid $20 a pack for it. Okay. And you can raw pack chicken or you can cook chicken and can it. Either way. Okay. Whatever your preference is. That's beside the point. But for 1 pack of chicken breast, it takes me 3 packs. That's $60. Okay. To run my double canners is $60. So if you can buy the birds that are already done there, they're $5 a piece.
Are you talking about like a rotisserie chicken?
Yes.
Okay.
And you can double that canning session.
See, that's something I wouldn't have even thought of. Yep.
Yes, very cheap. Very cheap.
Yep.
Save your skins and your bones for broth. Throw them in the freezer till you can get to the broth. Save your onion peels. Any of that garlic peels, throw them in the broth mix. Sorry.
No, you're fine. I keep catching myself talking over you, and I'm trying not to.
But I mean, save that stuff and put it in your freezer, and then make your broth with it. Onion scraps, garlic peels, the ends of tomatoes. I mean, that stuff, if you're not feeding it to your animals, the chickens, there is something you can do with it.
Well, and the other thing that goes along with
garbage.
the other thing that goes along with it too is that there's other ways to do things. So we've talked about this before, but I really want to hit on it so we don't miss it. You can can things, okay? And I'm going to run through each of these really quick. I'm not here for a long conversation on each of these, but I want to get it out there. There's an argument out there that canned food is not nutritional, okay, because it's been cooked out. Now, I disagree with that. I do think to a point, if you take something cooked and then you pressure cook it, you're actually losing some of the nutritional value, but it doesn't mean it absolutely is not worth you having, okay? The second thing is most canned things, the reason why your jars and lids now say no more than 18 months is what they're good for, is because at that point, nutritional value is lost in food that has been stored around that long in non-perfect conditions. Okay.
Right.
As well as sealing it. I mean, there's other things that go with it, but that was the drive behind it. Okay. Most of us, and I know I had a conversation with 1 or 2 or maybe all 3 of you about this today. My thing is that I'm not going to argue that point, because when it comes down to SHTF, I had to remember it. I could give 2 craps about nutritional value. I am trying to fill my stomach. That's what matters to me at that point. Okay. So I will not argue that point with anybody in the sense of whether it is or isn't, because I'm still going to do it. It's what I can do. I don't have a freeze dryer. I don't have a dehydrator yet, but I have a freezer and I can can. That's the things I'm going to do. Okay. Hold on a second. Let me finish. And then we'll come back.
Okay. Say something about this. It's crazy.
The other thing I want to say that goes with it is you got a freezer. You can take potatoes and dice them, shred them, mash them. You can do other things to it. You don't have to just think about, where am I going to put 10 pounds of potatoes so that they don't get eyes growing on them? Do something with them. It's 10 pounds of potatoes. You can do something with them.
Well, and watch those sales. We've got holidays coming up. We've got Thanksgiving and Christmas, and we've got these amazing holidays that they offer specific things that go on sale, like the potato, the sweet potato, turkeys. Christmas will have hams and other things. Watch those sales at the grocery store. Those are the big things because you can purchase those things at a lower price. I mean, I'll purchase 100 or 200 pounds of potatoes.
Right.
I'll get them for a quarter of the price of what I would another time of year.
The other thing I want to throw out, and then I'll promise I'll let Tiffany explode. So give me just a second.
I love you, Tiffany.
There is two things that go along with food storage, whether it's pantry, freezer, in your cupboard, in your spice rack, wherever it is. I don't really care where it is. Okay. Mm-hmm. Use it or don't store it. Rotation. Because if you're not doing that, you're defeating the purpose of food storage. Because you are putting up new stuff, hiding the old stuff, and I will guarantee you the time will come and that will become no longer valid stuff to use. Most of us in real life that we're talking about right now, most of our storage systems are based off of a 12-month or less time frame. Bear with me on that. Bear with me on that. Okay? I'm not talking. I know, but hear me out just for a second. Okay?
No, you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right.
What I'm talking about is what we are talking about today is not 25 years down the road. That is not what we're talking about. We are talking about what are you going to consume and your family going to consume in a 12-month or less time period.
Right.
You're going to be rotating that stuff. You're going to be getting new stuff. You're going to be putting new stuff out. However you do it, I don't really care. It's got to be rotated. And most of us are looking at how am I going to get through the next 3 months or 6 months or 9 months or 12. I do agree. Or even less than that. And you are correct. There are people that are doing like, I'm going to steal Bloo's word. Every fortnight, they're having to worry about where their food's coming from.
Or
it's
less.
Because
it sounds even worse because when the big C hit in my town, there was a run on so many groceries. We have one grocery store. I have one grocery store in my town. I have to drive 25 to 30 minutes for the next large grocery store from where I'm located. I remember going to the store and watching people tearing apart loaves of bread because there was 6 that were thrown out there.
Yes.
And shelves were empty where I was at. Yep. And I walked through the store with my list and I looked at my husband and I said, you know what? We have plenty. I'm not going to fight individuals over food.
No.
I was just going to get fresh vegetables, fresh things.
Right.
Yeah. I have plenty of storage. But like I said, I've been taught since a young child to keep that storage. We write dates on everything as they come in, cans, everything. Even we freeze dry. You guys obviously know that. I mean, that's me. But we dehydrate. We do, so many different things. And we, like you said, have to rotate. But I look at that and I was so thankful that I did have my freeze dryer at the time that everything started, because when my dairy goats have excess milk, I'm dumping milk. Mm-hmm. It's horrible. In our state, we cannot sell milk off of a farm without a USDA permit. So my pigs were drinking milk because I had so much, but I had it going through my freeze dryer. I have an entire freezer that is just right now that I'm slowly going through my freeze dryer. That it's for consumption.
I want to address this here right now.
Me too.
Okay. So again, let me say one more thing and then I'll let you explode, Tiffany.
I want to address that right there.
I'm going to grab a book really quick. You guys
okay. I'm in the same place you are, Nina. I have a pressure canner, have had it for almost a year. I've used it 4 times and I've been afraid to use it. Not because of the pressure canner part of it, because the 4 times I used it, I had bad experience with the product. I was siphoning too much. I wasn't getting something right, and I gave up on it. That's the honest truth. So I'm in the same boat you are. I want to learn how to do it the right way, but I want somebody to walk with me through it to learn it, because I'm doing something wrong and I don't know what it is. Tiffany, hold on. I promise, Tiffany, I don't want to have an explosion. It gets kind of messy on the screen. So
I'm going to put this one on the screen too.
Thank you. Tiffany.
that book is good. Nina, you have my number. You call me. We will jump on StreamYard and we will do it together. Do not be afraid of a canner. It's people, and that stuff you brought up a minute ago really ticks me off about and I'm gonna be honest, and people can take me with a grain of salt and throw it over their back. Okay. But that nutritional value crap, that is crap, because we don't know how long food's sitting in a Connex box before it even gets to the darn grocery store or before it
Right.
gets a date on it. So that is the biggest, lamest excuse I've ever heard in my life. If you want a can, call me. Send me an email. Walk you through it. It's not that
I got a
hard.
better idea. Why don't you just drive up to Washington State for a week and we'll just have a good old time.
I mean, it is very scary to begin with, but once you
It
do it
is.
one time, it's over.
Right.
It's over.
Well,
It's
it is and it
fun.
isn't. And it is and it isn't. On the pressure canner thing, the fear of that, yes, I agree with you.
That's over with.
The fine tuning to get the product to work, that's the struggle. Anyways, I don't want to turn this into a giant let's
I'm
have
done blowing up. I just think the
here.
US the other stuff is
Let me
bull.
wipe that icky stuff off the screen you left up there.
Because if people really knew what they were eating out of a metal can,
Right.
really
Right.
knew it,
Hello,
they wouldn't
Cindy
even buy it.
Brown. Thank you for coming in. Appreciate it. Okay. So Blue, do we want to come back to you, or are we still having mush right now?
You come back to me. I'm good. Yeah. Okay.
Do you have anything to add to the freezer meal kind of end of aspect, or do you have a list of things you want to talk about? Or
Okay, so freezer meals for us.
I need to step away for a half second, so please continue.
Okay. We have a 2.5 foot by 2.5 foot freezer. That's it. Okay. It's small. That's the smallest thing that we can have. Like we have got plans for a bigger one, but right now that's what we've got. And so my plan with it is to not have ingredients in it. If I have ingredients in it, it's taking up space for meals. There are times when I'm not well enough to cook because I'm in too much pain to be standing or to be doing anything. So Tanny has to take over at that point. And we don't want to be buying takeaway all the time because it's just way too expensive. The price on it has skyrocketed anyway to a point where none of us really want to be paying for it, to be fair. And I'd much rather be eating something that I know what it is at the end of the day.
Right.
So our freezer, as it stands, is going to be for meals only. So all the other ingredients either have to be fresh or we have to find another way to process them. Now, I don't pressure can. It's not a normal thing in the UK. It's not a normal thing in Australia. So I didn't grow up with it. The one time I did do it caused $2,000 worth of damage to my kitchen, nearly killed me and my 2-year-old. So, I'm not doing it. It's not happening. I just use other traditional preserving methods, which include hot packing, water bathing, charcuterie, and dehydrating. And there is others as well. So I go through those, and that's what I'm doing. So for me, it's just about trying to put things on a shelf rather than put them in the freezer. Because I don't want to have my freezers taken up, apart from which they cost money to run.
Right.
It's
very different where you are.
Yeah.
We over here don't understand that. The only reason, I mean, I listen and watch a lot of stuff on different news places and keep up with what's going over there, but to actually talk to you and see, and we've been on lives for hours in the morning, afterwards talking. It just blows my mind what's going on over there.
I want to throw something I see in here. I don't know if you guys addressed it. Sorry if you did. I'm gonna blow something out, Tiffany.
Okay.
Tiffany just went through a test video, which will be coming out at some point in time. She did 70 jars in her test. Not one of the jars failed with 4-jar lids.
I did
That is
pressure
awesome.
and water bath.
Yeah.
So they
I had
just
worked.
answer
faulty of a 4 dozen.
Michelle?
Say that again.
Michelle. Michelle, they do not sell pressure cans in this country. It doesn't happen. We have to import them. There is now one business that sells them. They are between £360 and £450 just for the pressure canner. That's more
not
than
the
most
shipping
people's
either.
monthly income in this country. It is unfeasible. It is not available for most people, so we are not doing it.
Well, not only that, the other thing that needs to be,
we'd have to import the jars and the lids and all of that kind of stuff, and it's just not beneficial financially to be able to do it. There are some people who do it in this country. The only jars that we can buy off the shelf here are either pink or green or yellow or purple, and they're made for decoration. You cannot buy the lids separately unless you import them from the US. And there's over 100 other countries on this little flying dirt ball in the middle of this galaxy, in this big universe, that don't do it either. Please understand that.
The flip side to that is that they just don't do it over there. They use a 1-lid system, not a 2-lid system. We are the only country in the world that utilizes a 2-lid system on everyday basis of canning, whether it's water bath or pressure canning. Most countries don't even use pressure canning.
Yeah. It's not normal.
That is a whole nother conversation. We'll save for another, maybe next week we'll have that discussion. Hello, Tanya. Thank you for coming in. But Michelle, I think and she says here she had no idea. It's okay. I get it. It's not to put it in your face. It's so that people understand there is a difference between the US and most other countries when it comes to canning. And we all need to realize that. So.
Yeah, because I didn't know that until I talked to Bloo.
Right.
Yeah.
On a personal level, I was like, wow.
Did you get your list out there, sister? Or did you have one? Or
my list?
Did you have a list of items you wanted to discuss on hints or tips or what people can possibly do to help?
I think the biggest one for me is learn your skills. The problem is that we have at the moment is for the last 30, nearly 40 years, schools have stopped teaching cooking and usable life skills, like practical life skill classes, unless you actually choose to take them. And when I was at school, it was compulsory. You had to take them. And so we had those classes and we knew what we were doing to a degree. But come the 90s, that all stopped.
Yeah,
and now it's completely, you get 1 year of one term, and this is in the first year of high school. Okay, you'll get one term that's cooking, one that's sewing, one that's cooking, one that's sewing, and that's just for that year. And unless you want to go in and go into hospitality, they won't allow you to go into a cooking class from there. But the cooking classes here are basically, we're going to do curry next week, so you need to find the recipe, bring in the ingredients, bring in the tools you need, and you can use our electric to cook it. And that to me is not a cooking class at all. It's not. It's just
they took that out of our schools too for our kids. They took all of that.
The biggest issue that we have in this country is that we have 4 aisles of the supermarket, and that's not including the freezer section, that are fresh, ready-made meals that are next to the fruit and veg section. They cost less than the ingredients to make them. Okay. So a lot of people are relying on ready-made meals to feed their families because A, they can't do it themselves. They don't have the skills anymore to do it.
Right.
B, it's cheaper than the ingredients. And it's the one bugbear that I have with Jamie Oliver. And he and I, at some point in my lifetime, are going to sit down, have a massive conversation. Right. Because what he did into this country, he started this whole thing about we need to take sugar out of everything.
Thank you, Dark.
No, we don't. You needed to fight for the basic everyday ingredients to make them ready meals be cheaper than buying the pre-made product.
Yep.
You know, that's the issue. It's not kids having a Coke. The issue is they don't know how to cook. Their parents don't know how to cook. They're not learning from their parents. They're not even learning from their grandparents because their grandparents can't do it either.
Mm-hmm. And that just means for a downfall of
we've lost all these skills and people are desperately trying to find them again.
Yep.
But the only way you can get them over here for the most part is to pay a lot of money to go and do night classes. Well, most people don't have that. So the night classes are only there for the people who've got some spare money to spend.
So that leads me to something that I think I'm going to jump out on a limb here. And if you guys disagree with me, that's fine. Go ahead. I think for that reason in itself, at least I'll speak for myself. The others can jump on if they want to. If anybody needs help learning how to cook something, how to make something, and I can help you, I am here to help.
Me too.
I have no issue doing that because if it's teaching somebody a skill or something that they can do, then by all means, I can spend 15, 20 minutes, a half hour showing somebody how to do it. I mean, it's not that big of a deal.
Well, and I'll even go a step further than that, Tony. If somebody does need help and wants to contact me, I will video it as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that way it's out there forever.
Yep.
Absolutely. Yep.
I agree.
Same.
So I don't want to cut you off. Did you have anything else that you wanted to add?
No, it's fine. I'll get back off my soapbox.
No, I didn't mean it that way.
My water.
Okay. Moving on over to the lady we jumped to prior to Blue and then coming back. Tiffany, do you have a list or other things you would like to throw into what we've been talking about?
I think that I honestly, I don't know what I think. I think that
she's sleepy.
I think a lot. I think a lot.
I think she's tired. I agree with that.
Yeah. I think that there should be I mean, everything that we went over is great, but as far as the people that are in the community and that are in this chat, and I am not a live person. Tony knows he's tried to get me to do 100 times and I still haven't done it. But I really think it would be cool to do a live canning session for some of these people or to have a collaboration that is not about a collaboration about how to cook out of your pantry. You understand what I'm saying? When I did Croctober, it was out of my pantry. It was already there. And if you can build your pantry a little at a time,
it
is not something that happens overnight. You have to be patient with yourself. When you go to the store, if your budget is $200, okay, and you know maybe you do have an extra $5 or $10 within the 200. Whatever you love, if you love rice or you love cheese or macaroni or whatever, noodles, something like that, get an extra.
Almond Joys.
When you're going through the store, if you'll think about going back to basics, and a lot of us, I was not raised like this. Neither me nor James. Our families did not can. They did not farm, any of that. So we had to learn on our own. But if you will go back to basics and sit your butt in your kitchen and try and try and try to make bread. Me and bread don't get along, but I still try to make it
Oh, come
until
on
I
now.
master it.
Phone a
Until
friend. Phone a friend. I
until
will help you. I'm a guy. I can make bread now. Okay.
Tony knows bread dough has went flying across my kitchen before, and we don't get along.
There's another book.
So,
You know,
know,
you say that.
I
yeah.
want to get Mary
Pretzel
Poppins
balls you
that I
made were
found here.
bloody amazing.
Oh,
Do what?
what'd
And
you
that's
say,
bread.
Blue? What was that?
Do what?
I said Tiffany says that, but those pretzel ball thingies
That's
with
what
the
I was
dipping
Yes.
thing,
Oh,
that's
yeah.
bread.
That's bread.
But I
Okay.
mean,
I
if
would
you'll
not be
just
complaining if that turned up looking like that in 5 different ways every
Nope.
day of the week. I wouldn't. Nope.
but I'm
Would
Okay.
not be complaining.
it's
Hold on,
like
hold on
you
a second.
have to go back to your roots.
Yes, you
Your
do, and I
your
agree.
history.
And for that reason, I'm putting you 3 on the spot.
I knew something was coming like that.
Of course he is.
Hold on, I'm
Yes.
posting a link to the 5
Currently,
minutes a day bread. Hold on.
no, you can't leave because this involves you.
Well, hold on. I'm
No, I
posting.
can't wait. I can't wait.
Oh, all right.
Hello, Ashley.
Oh,
Thank
hey,
you for
Ashley.
joining us.
Hey.
Are you remember the collaboration we were talking about for you, Kris? Have you decided if you're doing that in January or not yet?
Yeah.
You are. Okay. Can you throw in
Hold on. Let me get a piece of paper to write on because I know what you're doing to me here.
the 3 ladies and I want an answer if you could give it to me. Yes, thank you, mods. We appreciate you very much, and everybody in chat. Thank you.
Yeah.
In the month of January, can you guys?
I'm taking notes. Go
I'm
ahead.
trying to think. Blue, 6 o'clock doesn't work for you in the evening, does it?
How often?
February.
Once a week in the month of January.
What day?
You tell me.
What are we doing?
Oh, we'll get there, sister. I'm not done yet.
He's just gonna tell you like it is. That's
Yeah.
Pick a day.
Is there a day of the week that works better for you at that time?
I don't know. It's January, dude. I'm not there yet. Still this year.
Okay, here's what I'm looking at, and I'll tell you. Okay, you tell me right now if you can or can't do it. That's it, and it works for all 3 of you. In the month of January, pick a day, whatever it is. We'll come up with it. We'll set it up so it works for all of us. We can do 10 a.m. My 10 a.m. is Tiffany's 1 a.m., which is Kris's 10 a.m., which is her 6 p.m. We can all get on a live together and show 5. January has 5 weeks, I think, this coming year. 4 or 5 weeks of basic things in the kitchen you can make with the things you have in front of you.
Okay. I'm up for that.
Fair enough? Easy enough?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. That will help some people out. That's not going to solve the world.
Can I tell you something?
Sure, why not?
Why not?
Why not?
I'm already doing hashtag February. $50 February.
Mm-hmm.
That's not what I'm talking about.
But I'm only using things
that we have.
I get that.
So
yes.
Can I just I want to answer this comment that Dark Lord Minutes made. He said the parents are too busy to teach their kids. They don't make the time to teach them, and they should. Right now, we have both parents out at work 12 to 14 hours a day. Mm-hmm. Then they have to come home and run their household. There is no time for them to teach their kids these skills.
Right.
Okay. Making comments like that adds extra guilt, extra stress, extra anxiety, and extra depression to families that really do not need that extra pressure on them. You know, so it's not just down to the parents. It's down to the landlords that have tripled rents in 12 months. You know,
is your problem.
Just for 2 seconds. Right, when I was a kid, when I had my son, which was 31 years ago, we lived in a 3-bedroom house with a huge garden that had a greenhouse and a veg garden in it. It had its own garage. It was a completely separate house. It wasn't a terraced house or any of that. £50 a week the rent was. Okay, now the same house, and I actually checked it because I went to have a look to see if the house was still there and what it looked like and all that kind of stuff. Because sometimes you do that. £2,500 a month to rent that house. Okay, so people just do not have the money. They have to go and work. They have to work 2 and 3 and 4 jobs a week to pay the rent, let alone anything else. And people in this country are about to be hit with another £500 being dumped on their mortgage every month.
Right.
You know, they just don't have the time. It's not there.
I think in all honesty, I think we're talking 2 different scenarios, and I think Blue is 100% right and Dark Lord Minute is 100% right to a degree, because I don't think, and I know I'm going to get crap for saying this, but I'm just going to say it. The difference between the UK and the US is this country has a tendency right now to be, work ethic is struggling here in the US.
Yes.
And it's a direct result of COVID. I'll say the word. I don't care what anybody says to me about it. When they were handed out money to not go to work, it became the ethic that followed. Now, I'm not saying the UK is like that or isn't like that. I just know here, I think the thought process is a lot of people are wanting the extra handout. And I want to assume that's kind of what he's referring to. Now, on the flip side of it, you're very spot on in your guys' situation. Every one of those things you just laid out are exactly what's happening and what have been happening. But I'm not saying those in the US don't fall into that same category either. Because there
a comment just came up, Tony, from Prepping for Heaven. It says, we're talking about people that grew up not learning basic skills. We're not talking about what's going on right now.
Oh, in the past.
So what you've got is you've got generation upon generation who didn't learn those skills. So nobody is teaching that. Yeah. And this is what I see when I go out in public. I don't see interaction. I see
even at a restaurant.
Yep.
People are sitting right across from each other on their damn phone.
And that's where I'm seeing it's a society change. It's not necessarily a desire, because Larry and I made a very conscious choice when we got married that someone would always be home with our children. Do I work out of my house? Yes.
But you're home.
Choice. But I'm home with my kids, teaching them the skills. Are we on a limited income? Yes. But we've made some very good choices throughout our years. Like our house has quadrupled its value that we purchased. So I'm very thankful for right now, even though I see a lot of tragedy going on around us. But Larry and I have done very well planning out with our children. And all of my children know how to bake bread. All of my children know how to cook. All of my children know how to change the oil in their cars. I mean, it's something that I've made a conscious choice as a parent to make sure that my children know these things. Versus I see a lot of parents that don't care. And so I'm kind of trying to play the devil's advocate for you, Blue, only because I get it. And I do work 14 hours a day. but I do it at home, and I'm still teaching my children. I mean, we're still homeschooling.
See, I didn't have that option because I was a sole parent.
Right.
And I was working 18-hour split shifts, running my own business.
Right.
Desperate to try and keep a roof over my kids' house.
It's not everyone. Trust me. I'm not trying to say it that. I'm just saying that
the thing that I have seen, the thing that I have seen most recently is people have come away from COVID, and it's not that they don't have work ethic. They're refusing to work for an underpaid, not on a proper living wage. So they're having to have 2 full-time jobs instead of 1 full-time job to be able to pay the bills. That's what I'm seeing. That's what I'm hearing more about. And then I'm hearing businesses going, well, I'm not paying them that much.
Right.
Well, do the damn work yourself.
I think that's what Cindy is referring to. She has
for nothing.
Right.
I mean, we've got 6 weeks of postal strikes right now because these guys haven't had a pay rise in 12 years. We've got nursing strikes happening in December because they haven't had a pay rise in 12 years.
Right.
We've got all of these massive strikes happening over here because no one's getting paid. And people are not wanting to go into work because it's not worth their while to do so, because it's going to cost them more to go into work than it is to stay at home.
I think part of this problem is really also business related. I'll give you an example. Here at the Walmart closest to me, they are now starting wage $18 an hour.
Yeah.
The people that have been working there for 3, 4, 5, 6 years are making $2 and $3 less than that, and they're not going to bring them up to the exact same wage.
See, that's wrong.
You have corporations that are doing dirty things, but that's not advertised out there in the general population to know that they're screwing their employees, and they could give 2 craps about them because they're trying to entice new employees to come in. So we're going to give them the money. But even though you've worked your booty off for 4 years, you're not getting anything to make up for it. So I think really when you look at Bloo's country, the US, Australia, when you look at the countries individually, when you look at the workforce individually, when you throw in the financial responsibilities that each of those respectively have, when you throw in the corporations that are screwing their employees over, and whatever else gets throwing in there, I think we all have a bunch of different situations that are adding to the problem. Okay. Yeah. But there is no one answer or resolve to it because of those so many different situations. What I would like to do is really hit on is there anything else that we can offer out there that we haven't talked about that might help people get through? I think the biggest
thing is skill sharing.
I agree with that.
It's skill sharing. And if someone comes up to you and says, will you teach me how to do this? Just say yes and do it.
Absolutely.
I agree.
You know, and share as many skills as you can with people to do with everything.
Right.
You know, and if I don't know how to do it, I'll ask one of you guys and pass whoever it is on to someone who knows better than I do.
Yeah.
You know?
No,
at the end of the day, it's what we've got to do.
Right.
Exactly. And I look at things, learn to cook from scratch, learn to use ingredients you have. Don't be afraid to go to the dollar store to buy a bag of beans. My dollar store and my Safeway sell exactly the same bag of beans. My Safeway, my local grocery store, has them for $3.29 a bag.
And the dollar store,
$1.25 for exactly the same bag of beans. Don't be afraid to do that.
No. Don't be shamed into it.
Yeah, I do. I go to the dollar store once a week and just walk down their food aisle just to see what they've got, because they sell rice. They sell. My dollar store has different organic things in foods in there, and I'm like, oh well, we'll just load up our cart, or they'll have, mine actually will do 3 for $1.25 because everything's $1.25 now, but 3 for $1.25 for canned goods, which is cheaper than Costco.
Right.
And it's the same stuff that's in the grocery store.
It is.
That's exactly right.
Blue, do you guys have a store over there like that where you could send people if they don't know where to go?
I would say for here, there are two websites. Okay. I wouldn't say that there's a store particularly. We have got things like Poundland and stuff like that, but they're not a pound anymore.
No.
Okay. So they're not as cheap as they used to be, but there are stores online like Approved Food and Potatoes that have tester products on them. They're like, the tester flavors of sauces that nobody wants to buy.
Right.
Okay, they're on there, and different products like that. They've got the short dated use by date things on them, which we all know, or best before or whatever. It's still good 12, 24 months. If it's sealed, it's fine. You just leave it on the shelf and use it, but only get what you're going to use, right?
Are you talking about like the fajita lime cherry Twinkies?
Yeah, something like that. But like I've just bought, because I'm doing a handmade Christmas this year, everything's going to be handmade, or as much as I can, everything's going to be handmade. So I've just bought all the sweets and chocolates and stuff that I need to do certain things to do with the baking side of stuff from Approved Food. Now, anyone who's seen my Instagram will know that Tanny just bought me a massive bag of lint balls from the outlet store. That's great. It also cost a lot of money.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
But I just got a box that includes 5 bars of lint for £1.
Ooh.
Okay, because they were 20p a bar.
Right.
Because they're short dated. But they're going to get eaten before they go off.
Just learn how to make your own Twinkies. They'll be better for you. I actually have a Twinkie bar pan.
Yep.
It's the shape of Twinkies.
I was laughing a second ago.
I will say this.
Oh.
It was Homer Simpson that put me off eating Twinkies. In the nuclear war episode.
Yep.
When it was sitting there and there was a cockroach and a Twinkie. Yeah. Yep. And he sort of pulled apart the Twinkie and it went poof. And I'm just like, damn. Nope.
The one thing on my list that we didn't hit was planting that garden. You guys, it doesn't matter whether you have land or you have a pot.
Containers.
Porch that you can throw lettuce seed in. Lettuce will grow in less than 21 days and you will have fresh produce.
And there you go.
Yes.
It really comes down to manipulating your situation or accommodating.
Make it work for you.
Yes, make it work for you. That's exactly right.
Don't feel like I can't do this and I can't do that. Find what you can do.
I can't quite see what that is.
And do that.
Sorry.
Let me show you. These, I just got these in the mail. These are Egyptian walking onions.
Oh, hold on.
Going into my garden tomorrow. I also got garlic in the mail.
Okay, show us again.
Here. Okay, so these are Egyptian walking onions.
There you
I'm going to pull one out and I will show you. These are the coolest onions and these grow super fast. And these bulbets, they are not underground. They grow on the top of the plant and it flowers and then these form. And this is what makes the next plant.
Yeah.
Wow.
They walk around your garden. They grow forever. They drop and it's a
drop and then they grow where they drop. So that's when they come start walking because they go from a foot to a foot to a foot. So you want to put them in a place where they can have room to do that.
Is that kind of like a strawberry where it'll plant itself kind of theoretically? Okay.
Find things like this because this can be in a big pot. And as they're dropping their plants, what you do is you get the next little bulbs in and then you harvest the mother and you eat the mother. And so these are things that you can do that will save money in the long run, especially if there's skyrocketing prices or shortages. Little things like this. I mean, I just got these in the mail. I have Egyptian walking onions outside, but I wanted to quadruple what I had so that I had them for next season.
Right.
I'm planting them right now. So little things like that. But even Cindy Brown says, even in an apartment with no yard, you can grow alfalfa sprouts. Absolutely. And we're actually starting microgreening. Berlin is starting this as a project for me because I love microgreens. I love alfalfa. I love in my salads, sandwiches, all that. But those are things you can do inside your house.
I've got ginger in my front living room window.
Yes. Yes.
If
You
you
said you like.
It's massive.
Go ahead, Tiffany.
I was gonna say, if you have a window and if you live in an apartment and you have a window and you have containers, and you don't even have to have containers, okay? So let's say you've got some of those like Chinese whatever soup bowls or coffee mate dishes. There is a method called crack key that you can grow whatever that is not a root vegetable. You can grow inside. In front of the window.
I'm waiting for a very nice friend of mine who is a collaborator and a content creator to make a video on that. And
I'm trying.
Waiting.
I'm trying. If anybody has ever watched, if anybody, if anyone has ever watched any of mine and Miguel's gardening videos, on my banister, you're going to see Micah's formula cans on the banister that we punched holes in, and I put the crack key method in it and grew lemon balm, whatever I wanted was grown right there. But you can do it inside with a window if you don't have a porch. And the crack key method is no soil. Where your soil is in the nutrients, and they work super fast.
And for those guys talking about microgreens, if you have animals, I know they were talking about fermenting the feed. I actually buy recleaned wheat at my feed store, and a 50-pound bag I can turn into 250 to 300 pounds of feed by doing microgreens instead of fermenting. And it goes further for my animals.
Yep.
That's really good.
So it's not called microgreening. It's called fodder, a fodder system, FODDER.
Yep.
Wow. That's pretty
And that's what I do. And it quadruples or more my feed for my chickens, for my birds especially. I can't grow enough for my pigs and my dairy goats, but all of my small stock animals will get that in the wintertime because there's no more greens in my yard at that point. I live in the tundra of Arizona. I will get a video. I'm going to be reestablishing my greenhouse. There will be a video probably in about a month, you guys, because it does take some time to establish it. It's 8 days of growing. So, we don't grow any of that in the summertime because I've got so much land that does have green that I can get my animals food. But in the wintertime, we do start, and I have a lot of new chickens right now. I have a barn full of chickens, babies right now. They're all meat birds. Yep. So there's a lot of things. And if you go look on my channel, you guys, there is a way old video when he's almost 21 now, was like, I don't know, 12. Griffin, he's a way old video. But we do have a fodder system that we used in our in our laundry room that had a shoe rack that we actually did. And Griffin had set that up as a school project. Is actually where we got started with that. So, no, I don't, Cindy. I don't worry about male goats and alfalfa because I give my male goats some nutrients that does not cause the urinary tract crystallines.
Also, like there'll be people who saying
off the whole topic.
Just because you live in a high-rise apartment as well, and all you have is a balcony, doesn't mean you can't grow stuff.
No.
There was a channel called Cloud Gardener, and he's here in the UK, and he lives way up on like the 20th floor or something of this high-rise apartment building in the city of Manchester. Okay, now his garden is his balcony, and it is so prolific. I mean, he did a garden for the Chelsea flower show. His garden is that, amazing up there, and what he does is incredible. It is possible, so if you do want to need something like that, go and have a look at his channel, because oh my God, what that man doesn't know about growing up in the clouds, geez.
I want to throw it out for about 10 minutes. If you guys in chat have any questions you want to ask, please ask. I don't want to sit there forever doing it, but please, if you do have a question, go ahead. Yes.
I was going to say another way and this is how James and I just thought about this because I haven't bought laundry detergent in 15 years. I make it.
Mhm.
What we saved on making our own laundry detergent was
Mm-hmm.
roughly about $15, and that $15 went towards rice or whatever
Mhm.
for our pantry because I do have a very nice pantry, but I have busted my tail to get that pantry the way it is
Yep.
and pinched and pinched and pinched and pinched.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, went without no new shoes.
Mhm.
I still got
Oh, I
shoes from
hear
5 years ago,
ya.
but I'm gonna make sure that there's food in this house, especially
But
for the babies.
that again, that goes back to what I was saying in the beginning. If you guys don't have a lot of money, don't stress it. If you can take
Yeah.
like I don't remember which one of you said it first, but go to the $1.25 store and buy one bag of beans this
Mhm.
day.
Right.
Next week, go buy a bag of rice the next week. But if you use it, replace it.
Mhm.
Mhm.
That's the key to the whole process.
Well,
You
and
will
it's
never
not even use
grow.
it. It's not even using and replace it. You're going to replace that with 2 bags
Right.
Right.
Exactly. Yep.
every single time. So if I
Yep.
go and I use a bag of beans for, let's say I'm making chili, I can do chili in my pressure cooker. And you guys, I have a 12-quart pressure cooker. I have a big pressure cooker.
Right.
Um, I will replace, and I use 2 bags of beans when I do that. If I do use 2 bags of beans, 4 bags come back from the dollar store and get put
There
up
you
in the
go.
cabinet.
Mhm. Yeah,
Tiffany.
that's the way we do. Now, with my laundry detergent, we make it 5 gallons at a time out of
Mm-hmm.
1 bar of Zote soap, and I always have
I've
baking
got a
soda
video
here.
on that.
hmm
And
And
one for
one,
fabric softener as well.
yeah, you
I
can
think
make,
I actually have a video on it. Let
Yeah.
me go see.
yeah, if you really want to pinch, you can make your own deodorant, you can make your own
Mhm.
toothpaste. The crap in the store is a ripoff,
Mhm.
and it, you know, it you can do all of that stuff on your own. I have recipe after recipe. I haven't been on YouTube that long to dig into my, 5-inch journal of everything that we've done over the past several years trying to prepare and be ready for whatever comes our way. And when I say that, being prepared, James's aorta ripped from his heart, so we were without funds for quite some time,
Mhm.
and the pantry is what saved us. It wasn't just about SHTF.
Right.
Anything
Yeah.
can happen.
Mhm.
But I think if we're realistic about it,
Not yet.
SHTF. No,
Not
but
yet.
well, no, but
I meant the
it's
videos,
usually.
not yet.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, I was like, not yet. I haven't been
Oh,
on here
I
that
was like,
long to
is she
post
telling me to
anything.
shut up and
No.
quit talking? I wasn't quite following there. I think the reality is, and it's a conclusion I came to at some point in time, because I'll be honest, when I first started doing the prepping, the canning, and all that stuff, I got sucked into they're coming to take me away. Ha ha. They're coming to take
Mhm.
me away. You
Yeah.
get stuck in that. Okay, I gotta power do this. I gotta do this. It's all gotta be done tomorrow because it's gonna happen tomorrow. 9 times out of 10, it's kind of like we're still waiting for the hoverboard from Back to the Future 20 years ago.
You know what? That was supposed
You
to
know,
happen in 2015. Where the hell
exactly.
is
That's
it?
my point. And we're still sitting here waiting for it. Okay.
And flying
I'm
cars
not,
too.
but the reality is I'm not saying it's not gonna happen. But the reality for most of us, it's going to be a job outage. It's going to be
Yeah,
the power is out because of a storm. It's going to be because you're
medical.
missing a paycheck because of medical. It's
Yeah.
going to be a gazillion other things first that we need to be on an awareness plan so
Mhm.
that we're ready for whatever happens, because when that other thing happens, you'll already be in a routine of how to figure it out.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Right. You think about this, y'all. Anybody that's not doing this, when the big C hit, I can guarantee you that there's quite a few people sitting right here. I I mean, I wasn't in any type of panic at
No,
all. Nothing. I wasn't
no,
running to the grocery store to go buy everything out. I kept my butt at home because
right.
I don't want to get it.
Yes.
But I was
And
thankful that I was ready.
because of our lifestyle, it didn't even change my children's schedules because we already homeschooled. They didn't have to change from going to a public school to doing online school. We already homeschooled. The only difference
Right.
is Berlin did not get his daily soda pop. I'm one of those bad moms. Please don't judge. When you have an autistic child, you find the one thing that makes them as happy as possible to get things done. And that was going to Circle K to get his dollar soda that he did every single day. And when COVID hit, that was the only thing in our lives that changed. That and going to the movies as a family.
Yeah, my friend's son has autism, but he's got severe OCD with it.
Yes.
So he goes through 2 packets of one particular brand of wet wipes, 5 boxes and this is every day, of one brand of particular tissues.
Yes.
And he has a list because everyone was out there stripping shelves.
Mm-hmm.
He couldn't have those things and ended up in a residential home because he was so unwell because his mum couldn't get the things that he needed on a daily basis, or couldn't buy the boxes that she normally got from the store that she normally got because everything was being rationed.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, like I went to the supermarket, I think, one time, and the one time I went, I had to help an old woman, like really elderly, probably in her 80s, because everything she wanted, the shelves were empty.
Yeah.
Now, they don't have the ability to be able to go and put things away all the time. They don't, because their pension is a quarter of what their income used to be. And it's worth even less than that now. So they're living literally hand to mouth from pension check to pension check. And they've only got about 20 quid a week to feed themselves on. And when the things that they rely on to feed themselves are gone, and that's where the issue lies when people are strip buying shelves and things. So when I do go and buy a year's worth of stuff, and I do say, like, I'll do it every month, I'll go and buy a year's worth of one thing. But I don't buy more than 10 packets because I don't want to make it so that nobody else can have it. Because
and I think that there's a natural progression to that as well. If you're going into the grocery store, which I'm not saying you are, I'm just saying if people go into a grocery store and there's 2 packages of toilet paper and you're taking both of them, you've now just screwed somebody. But if there's 25 packages of toilet paper, by all means grab 2 of them. Somebody's going to buy them. It's playing that
the other thing
medium.
as well. It costs $8 on eBay for a bidet attachment for your toilet that attaches to the actual cistern.
Yeah, a lot easier. I think the
20 minutes to put it on.
When they had the grocery store shortages, the one thing that really was crazy to me was when they were limiting people. And I always laughed because I would go in and at the time I had 6 kids living at home at the time.
Yeah.
And I could only get 2 gallons of milk. Yeah, a single person could also get 2 gallons of milk. And I remember looking at the manager of the grocery store saying, I'll be back tomorrow because they drink 2 gallons of milk in one sitting when there's 9 of us.
Yeah.
So I remember going through the store and actually people, and I have no idea who they are. And I live in a small town. I mean, it's not, but I remember little ladies buying 2 gallons of milk and putting one into my cart as we were checking out. Because I knew I had all these kids with me, and I'm like, what are you talking about? I have to come back. And, COVID was starting right as all my dairy goats deliver their babies. So I knew in a month I would have plenty of milk for myself. And we shared with our community at that point.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it was a don't sell, but bring me a roll of toilet paper.
Right.
So we did some trade. But at that time, I just remember that. And that really opened my eyes to the way society was, because at first it was like, I don't know what I'm going to do here. We'll just go without. We'll use our stash that we do have that's in frozen or freeze dried. I hate breaking into something that I know is.
Hello, Daz. Thanks for coming in. Sorry.
Bye. No, you're good. So it was just one of those things. But I remember I went home from the grocery store, and I remember the manager at the grocery store said, "You can't take 7 gallons of milk home." And I said, "But that lady bought me one, and that lady bought me 2. I'm taking 7 gallons home." And it was just like, oh my gosh. And then people would see your cart with 7 gallons of milk and freak out. Well, 7 gallons of milk is a week worth when you have 9 people in the household. So, you know, it is what it is. But you definitely learned society and learned those that were willing to help and those who were not.
Yeah.
It was an eye opener for me. Definitely.
So we've been at this for an hour and 45 minutes. I don't see too many major questions coming up, if any, now. Anything else to add, Blue?
No, I just think, you know, I mean, like, if you know, the whole pandemic situation and the stripping of the shelves taught us anything, we've had a lot of pictures on social media over here of people, you know, dumping food afterwards.
Yeah.
Because they bought all this stuff, had nowhere to store it, and it was going off. To me, that's a bigger travesty than anything, you know, because there were people who were literally in tears because they couldn't buy what they needed to buy to live, to survive for the next day. I think definitely learning how to stock your pantry, how to cook, and how to look after you and yours, and have enough stuff in the house for 3-month period, if nothing else, you know, is so important. So that when those situations happen, whether it's, you know, we're put into lockdown, or whether it's a situation that's a medical situation or something else, you've got the stuff there.
Right.
It's there. You don't need to worry about it because you're sorted, or a massive bill comes in out of nowhere.
Right.
You can still feed your family. You don't need to worry about it. You can chill a little bit. You know?
And that's the best feeling I think I've gotten, is when we got into those situations and I was able to say, we're good.
Yeah.
That felt so good to be able to do that, you know?
Absolutely.
Tiffany, how about you?
There's 2 things that I have, and one of them I was going to bring it up earlier. The first one is, there were several people in chat were talking about, you know, prepping or preppers. Like, for me, this is my life. I've been living like this for a long time. It's my lifestyle. The second thing I was going to bring up was, Sarah at the beginning brought up an app that I have. I don't know if it's in the UK, but there is an app out there that is called Fetch. FETCH. And all you have to do is, when you go buy something, you snap that receipt on the app. It looks like a little tiny dog. Now, and that's any receipt. Any receipt. Sometimes you will get points for
We've got a UK version.
Yeah, see, it looks like this. It's Fetch.
Yeah, Fetch Marketplace.
Yes, you snap your receipts, and over time, you can get Amazon gift cards. There's plenty of dry products on Amazon that you can buy, and all you have to do is take a picture of your receipt. Easy way to make some side hustle money, to get some dry storage for backup, or, you know, to help start your pantry with. So easy.
Yeah.
That was
Thank you.
The other thing that we have over here now, we've got a couple of apps over here where if you have extra food that you don't need, you can put it on the app and people will come and collect it.
Yeah,
So that they
that
can come and collect
they
if
need to
they
do
want
that.
it.
Mhm.
You know,
Need to
whether
do
you give
that
that
here.
away or you want to put a price on it, because obviously you might be out of pocket because you bought something that actually you're not going to use. It's entirely up to you, because it may not be something that the food banks accept, because they
Mhm.
don't accept everything. And I think that's what a lot of people don't actually realize, is that food banks don't accept everything.
No, they don't.
So no. So they're good ones to have a look for as well, to see if there's, you know, apps like that around. It's way early in the morning for me. I can't think straight. So I don't actually know the names of them off the top of my
You're
head.
fine.
But I'm pretty sure that underneath probably my budgeting live somewhere, there will be links to them somewhere on those kinds of things. So, you know, yeah. But they're always good ones as well. And I think there's also an organization that's setting up over here that if you have extra meals that you want to share, you know, you can actually put those out and you can actually say, yes, I've got this or I've got that.
Mm-hmm.
And you don't have to have a kitchen that is
By
certified.
standards.
Yeah.
Mhm.
You know, you're just sharing your family's meal with another family.
There you
So
go.
always have a look for that as well, because it's not in every area in the UK. It's just in certain more urban areas. So just check out for that as well if you need to.
Okay.
Yeah.
I
Kris.
just dropped a link to the Thrive Life freeze-dried foods for anybody who is interested. That is our page there. It's a 25-year shelf life. It is pricey, I will tell you, but freeze-dried food in general is pricey. They have it in pantry size cans and in number 10 size cans. My hall closet that used to be my towel closet, my sheet closet, is all my freeze-dried foods.
Right.
And we use that half the time because I just keep re-adding to it, but they've got everything in there. So I did throw that down there, you guys. I know it doesn't go to the UK, but it does go to Canada.
Yeah.
So that is an idea for anyone who does want to do some prepping, but it runs about $80 for a can of meat. Again, 22 to 28 servings in there. So it's not terribly pricey if you look at it and bring it out as being a shelf life. But that's one thing I can emphasize to you guys is if you can learn how to can, if you have a freeze dryer, freeze dry. If you have a dehydrator, dehydrate. Save your food that you can, so that if you do come to a shortage, you're able to use it. You guys, there are recipes out there. You can use lettuce in soup. You can use, there's so many different recipes that you wouldn't imagine are out there. Do a quick search.
Yeah.
Do a super quick search. Potato soup can go a long way when you have plain potato soup one day and the next day you reheat it up and you add leeks into it, and then the next day you add hamburger meat or whatever, bacon or whatever you have on hand, and you extend that. That's how we've always cooked in our household. And when we got our freezer, it made it even easier because I would do a pressure, my Instapot full of a roast, and then the next day we would have that for lunch, and if there was anything left over, it went through my freezer to preserve it. You can put that in your freezer as well. But make those things extend out, and I think that's a huge deal.
No, she can't.
Yeah, because you could do a lot with potatoes. I mean, that, like you said, even if you went even further to stretch it out, you could make it, blend it up and make a gravy to go over whatever meatloaf or Salisbury steak or whatever. I mean, you can turn stuff over and over and over again, and instead of trashing it.
Right.
Exactly.
Someone that I know does that, and it drives me absolutely bonkers. I just don't understand.
Food doesn't go to waste at my house. If it doesn't get eaten by us, it gets eaten by my animals.
Me too.
So again, I want to throw out there. I really hope everybody got some good information. That's what I hope. It looks like with the interaction in the chat that was successful, so that's good. Thank you, ladies, for coming up and having this chit chat. I appreciate it. Thank you, Tiffany, for bringing up the very good idea of doing it. Thank you, Blue, for having a live, which gave her the idea. Which
they gave me the idea.
And I'm just here.
No, you're not just here. But,
we love you though, Kris.
yeah.
Why, thank you guys.
I want to thank the mods. They've been working really hard tonight.
Yes,
so we
yes, you
appreciate
guys.
that.
Thank you, mods.
Thank you, everybody that came in. We appreciate it.
And everybody do thumbs up, please, please, please.
Yes.
It helps with the algorithm of YouTube.
Anything else, guys?
There is so much. We could sit here for days.
Right.
And all four of us are willing to help. That's the thing.
That is
all of us.
Yep.
Yeah.
I think now just real quick, thinking about the January thing, I don't think I want to make it a collaboration per se. I want it to be just the four of us. Here's our ideas. Next week, here's some more ideas. Does that make sense?
Cool. Absolutely.
Okay.
And I do have a January collab that I'll be putting together, you guys. We're going to be doing an Instapot one because people don't know how to use their pressure cooker for different foods. So I'll be working on getting all that information out to everyone here probably sometime at the end of November to get that going. But yeah, crazy world.
I think I want to, if you guys don't mind doing it, I don't know what your schedules are. I think next Friday I want to try it one more time. Just give us a week. Let's see what we didn't maybe talk about, any more ideas we can come up with. Because the comments were very engaged, and that's what I loved about it, which means there are people that want to hear this. And Nina even said that she's requesting more lives on this topic. So if you guys can do it, I will put it out there so it has all week to get the notice out there. Yeah. And maybe other people will show up that haven't gotten the answers, I guess is what I'm saying.
And y'all, if y'all come back and chat, anything that y'all think of during the week, bring that to the table. Because there's things that we may not have remembered to tell y'all today.
Well, and the good thing about that is that this kind of subject matter, not just the normal chit chat that we do on Friday nights, the four of us have been watching the chat. So your questions, theoretically, if there are questions, will get answered or at least asked and then hopefully answered.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, Michelle just asked a question here. Could we create an online community who freeze dries and shares local in-season foods? I'm very hesitant on saying, and I'm very hesitant on saying yes, only because what I do here on my farm is to provide for my kids for the rest of the year.
I'll be right back, guys. Sorry.
Got it. I would love to be able to see a community that does that, but most people who buy a freeze dryer buy it because they have that excess food that they are preserving. We preserve year-round for ours and use freeze-dried food. Now, I'm to that point now where I'm preserving my own and purchasing freeze-dried for storage because I had a feeling things were coming or not coming to all of our pantries and grocery stores. So that's why I do both. So I do the Thrive Life for my family, but we also have a freeze dryer that we do our own. My freeze dryer runs almost constant. So yeah, there's a lot of things. If you watch some of my videos, I mean, we've got freeze dried, we've done candy. As a matter of fact, Grayson came running in yesterday while I was working and she's like, Mom, I found a jar of freeze dried gummy bears. I did that because my kids love that kind of stuff, but she sat and ate the whole jar on her own as a snack. So, and it was a little pint-sized jar. It wasn't a huge jar, but it was something that I look at and I'm like, I'm preparing not only for our groceries and our own family. And like I said, I have adult children who live local. But I'm also doing things like the desserts, like the things that we may want. You always want to make sure when you're doing being prepared, being a prepper, that you have things that is not just food.
You got to have some sweets.
You do. Yeah. I am a big Reese's fan, and I have Reese's stuck in the bottom of one of my freezers because I know if it ever comes down to it, that's what's going to be my thing.
See, that's the thing. And
go ahead.
Treat yourself.
Have those treats and don't feel guilty. There is such a mindset that if you're budgeting or you have a low income and this kind of thing, that you can't do that kind of stuff. But you're a human being with human being needs, and you have every right to do something nice for yourself. You know, we're not expecting everybody to live on gruel just because they don't have a lot of money.
Well, now there are some people I would,
you know,
right?
Beans and rice every day.
But you know, that brings up a valid point too, and it goes along with what Bloo's saying. Not just the sweet aspect of it. Have condiments, have spices, have seasoning, because you don't want to get on what do they call that food?
It's
fatigue, right? You don't want that. You know, you could only eat so many days of mashed potatoes or rice. Without any flavor, it's going to get boring really quick. So, and if you got to go 4 weeks because the power's out and your lines are all frozen, and it's going to be that long before they can get them fixed, you better be figuring something out, because at that point it's too late if you haven't. So, we're trying to help you guys to get to that point, even if it's just like we had said, a month, 2 months, 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, 12 months, something, so that you feel that comfort and you can take care of your family. But if you can keep it on a constant rotation, that won't be an issue for you at some point in time.
Exactly. So. And Dark Lord made a comment here. It says they have the money for those freeze dryers. Here's the deal. My freeze dryer was on layaway. I paid monthly to get my freeze dryer here for a whole year. I saved
one so bad.
Well, and that was that $600 grocery budget. I made it $500 so I could start paying off my freeze dryer faster. So just know that there are different ways to do that. And they do have sales all the time for dented ones where they take $500 or $1,000 off. I got an email from them the other day. So if you do want me to share that with you, I will forward that email to anyone who wants it, who's interested. Yeah, they're pricey. They're well worth it once you get one in.
Right.
So I will tell you that, you guys.
So I would like to have a freeze dryer. I never will because of the price. I'm working on a dehydrator still.
Hey, we got to get you a dehydrator.
All right, guys, we're going to go ahead and call it a night. Thank you for coming in. I appreciate everybody, and we'll see you on the next round. Thanks, guys.
Bye.
Bye, you guys.